The alarm woke Captain Una Park at 3 in the morning. She had been sleeping in her small room at the United Earth Defense Command Center in Seoul. The sound was different from the normal alerts. This one was loud, sharp, and it did not stop. She ran to the main control room. Her feet were bare, and her uniform was not complete, but she did not care. Something was very wrong. "What is happening?" she asked the night crew. A young officer named Yoonji Shin looked up from her screen. Her face was white with fear. "Captain, you need to see this." The main screen showed space near Jupiter. Yuna had seen this view many times before. Jupiter was big and orange, floating in the darkness. But tonight something else was there. Ships. Thousands of ships. They came out of nowhere. One moment the space was empty. The next moment it was full of vessels. They were huge. Each ship was the size of a mountain. They were black and angular, with sharp edges that looked like weapons. Yuna counted them on her screen. 100. 500. 1,000. They kept coming. More and more ships appeared from fold space, that strange dimension that allowed faster-than-light travel. "How many?" Yuna whispered. Yoonji's voice shook. 12,000, Captain. And they are still coming. Yuna felt her heart stop. 12,000 warships. Earth's entire fleet was only 800 vessels. They were nothing compared to this. Then the message came. It played on every screen, every radio, every communication device on Earth. It spoke in Korean, in English, in Chinese, in every human language at the same time. The voice was cold and mechanical, without any emotion. Species 7241. You have 20 rotations to evacuate your home system. Your world will be harvested for resources. Resistance is biological error. The message repeated 3 times. Then it stopped. Yuna looked at her crew. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. They all understood what they had just heard. An alien civilization had come to Earth, and they wanted to destroy it. Within 1 hour, the news spread across the world. Within 2 hours, there was panic. Admiral Taeho Kim received the call at his home in Bizen. He was 72 years old, the most experienced military commander on Earth. He had fought in 3 wars and commanded fleets in deep space. But he had never faced anything like this. He arrived at the Defense Command Center in Seoul by morning. The building was chaos. Officers ran through the halls. Politicians shouted at each other in meeting rooms. Scientists argued about what to do. Taeho walked through it all with a calm face. Inside, he was terrified. But a commander could never show fear. He called a meeting of the senior staff. Yuna was there, along with 20 other officers. They sat around a large table and looked at the data on the screens. "What do we know?" Taeho asked. A scientist named Do-Yun Beek spoke first. He was thin and nervous, an expert in alien technology. "The ships are real, Admiral. They use a form of energy we have never seen before. Their weapons appear to be plasma-based. One of those ships could destroy our entire fleet alone. And there are 12,000 of them," Taeho said quietly. "Yes, sir." Another officer spoke up. "Sir, we should begin evacuation immediately. We have 20 days. We can save some people, at least." "Evacuate to where?" Yuna asked. "Mars? Europa? If they want our solar system, they will take everything. There is nowhere to run." The room fell silent. She was right. There was no escape. Taeho looked at the faces around him. He saw fear in every eye. These were brave people, soldiers who had dedicated their lives to protecting Earth. But this enemy was too big, too powerful. How could anyone fight against 12,000 warships? "We are not giving up," Taeho said. His voice was strong and clear. "We will find a way." Humanity has faced extinction before. We survived ice ages. We survived plagues. We survived wars that killed millions. We did not survive all of that just to surrender now. He stood up and looked at each person in the room. I want options. I want ideas. I do not care how crazy they sound. Bring me everything. We have 20 days to save our species. The meeting ended. Officers rushed to their stations. Scientists began analyzing the alien ships. Soldiers prepared for a battle they could not win. But one person stayed behind. Her name was Ji-Won Lee, a young woman with short black hair and tired eyes. She was not a soldier. She was a xenolinguist, an expert in alien languages. She had spent her career studying theoretical alien communication, never believing she would actually use her skills. "Admiral," she said, "may I speak with you?" Taiho turned to look at her. "Dr. Lee, yes? What is it?" Ji-Won walked to the screen and pulled up the alien message again. "I have been studying their transmission. There is something strange about it." "Strange how?" "Look here." She pointed to a small string of numbers at the end of the message. "This is a diplomatic protocol number. It references a specific legal framework. The aliens are not just threatening us. They are following rules." Taiho frowned. "Rules? What kind of rules allow you to destroy planets?" "That is what I want to find out," Ji-Won said. "Admiral, these aliens are not mindless destroyers. They have laws. They have procedures. They sent us a formal notice before attacking. Why would they do that?" Taiho thought about this. It was strange. If the aliens wanted to destroy Earth, why warn them? Why give them 20 days? "What are you thinking, Dr. Lee?" Ji-Won took a deep breath. "I am thinking that maybe there is a way out of this. Not through fighting, but through their own rules. If they follow laws, then maybe those laws have exceptions. Maybe there is something we can say or do that will make them leave." Taiho stared at her for a long moment. It was a wild idea, but wild ideas were all they had. "You have my permission," he said. "Find out everything you can about these aliens. Find their rules. Find their weaknesses. I do not care how long it takes." Ji-Won nodded. "Thank you, Admiral." She turned and walked out of the room. Her mind was already working, analyzing the message, looking for clues. Somewhere in that transmission was the key to saving humanity. She just had to find it. Outside the building, the sun was rising over Seoul. The city looked the same as always. Cars moved through the streets. People walked to work. Children went to school. Most of them did not fully understand what was happening. They knew aliens had arrived, but the reality had not hit them yet. In 20 days, this city might not exist. This whole planet might be gone. But Ji-Won refused to believe that. Humanity had not come this far just to die. They had survived everything the universe had thrown at them. They would survive this too. She looked up at the sky. Somewhere out there, 12,000 ships waited. An entire civilization wanted Earth dead. But they had made one mistake. They had given humanity time. And time was all humans needed. She worked in a small room deep inside the Defense Command Center. The walls were covered with screens showing alien symbols, numbers, and patterns. Her desk was buried under papers and empty coffee cups. Her eyes burned from staring at data, but she could not stop. The alien transmission had contained more than just a threat. Hidden inside the signal was a massive amount of information. Communication protocols, file structures, even fragments of their database. The Velthari, as they called themselves, were organized. They kept records of everything. And those records told a terrifying story. "They have conquered over 7,000 species," Ji-Won told Admiral Taiho during their daily meeting. 7,000 entire civilizations destroyed or enslaved. They have been doing this for millions of years. Taiho sat across from her, his face tired and grim. How do they choose their targets? That is what I am trying to understand. Jiwan pulled up a document on her screen. They follow something called the Doctrine of Primacy. It is their law, their religion, everything. According to this doctrine, the universe belongs to the strong. Weak species exist only to serve the strong, and we are weak to them. We are nothing to them, Jiwan said. They call us species 7241. We do not even have a name. We are just a number in their database. Lieutenant Suho Choi entered the room. He was a military intelligence officer, tall and serious. He had been working with G1 to decode the alien files. I found something, he said. Something important. He connected his tablet to the main screen. A list appeared, showing 17 species names in alien script. These are the ones that got away, Suho explained. 17 species that the Velthari planned to conquer but did not. They sent their fleets, just like they sent a fleet to us. But then they left. No battle, no conquest. They just turned around and went home. Taiho leaned forward. Why? That is the strange part. In each case, the species sent a single transmission before the Velthari attacked. Just one message. After receiving it, the Velthari reclassified the species and retreated. Jiwan felt her heart beat faster. What was in those messages? I do not know yet. The content is not in these files. But the result is clear. 17 times, the Velthari faced a species they decided not to fight. Taiho stood up and walked to the screen. He looked at the 17 names. 17 species had done something that scared the most powerful civilization in the galaxy. Find out what they had in common, he ordered. Whatever they did, we need to do the same. Jiwan and Suho worked together through the night. They analyzed everything they could find about the 17 species. Most of them were completely alien, nothing like humans. Some breathed different gases. Some lived in different environments. Some had bodies made of crystal or gas or pure energy. But slowly, a pattern began to appear. It was Minji Kang who found the connection. She was a historian, an expert in human wars and conflicts. Taiho had brought her in to help, thinking her knowledge might be useful. Minji was older than the others, with gray hair and calm eyes. She had spent her life studying the darkest parts of human history. She knew about every war, every genocide, every terrible thing humans had done to each other. I think I understand, she said, late on the 4th day. Look at this. She showed them a comparison chart. On one side were the 17 species. On the other side were their histories. Every one of these species has a documented record of total war, Minji explained. Not just regular war. Total war. The kind where you destroy everything, including yourself, rather than let the enemy win. Suho frowned. What do you mean? Minji brought up an example. This species, the ones the Velthari call the Burning Ones, when the Velthari arrived, they sent a message showing that their home planet was rigged with nuclear devices. If the Velthari attacked, they would detonate everything. The planet would become a radioactive wasteland, useless for harvesting. She showed another example. This species, the deep swimmers, they lived on a water world. They poisoned their own oceans before the Velthari could arrive. They killed their own planet to deny it to the enemy. Jiwan felt a chill run down her spine. They were willing to die rather than be conquered. More than that, Minji said. They were willing to make conquest meaningless. The Velthari are not warriors. They are businessmen. They conquer worlds for resources. But if the resources are destroyed, there is no profit. There is no point. Taiho understood now. The Valkyrie are afraid of losing. Not just losing, Minji corrected. They are afraid of Pyrrhic victory. A victory that costs more than it gains. They have unlimited power, but they are also perfectly logical. They will not fight a battle where winning means losing. Suho laughed, but there was no humor in it. So we just need to convince them that conquering Earth will cost more than it is worth. Exactly, Minji said. We need to show them that humanity will never surrender. That we will destroy ourselves before we let them take our world. That fighting us will give them nothing but ashes. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. They could save humanity, but only by proving they were willing to end it themselves. Taiho looked at the screen for a long time. He thought about his wife, his children, his grandchildren. He thought about the billions of people on Earth, living their lives, hoping someone would save them. Could he really threaten to kill them all? There is another problem, Jiwon said quietly. Showing willingness is not enough. The 17 species did not just threaten. They proved they were capable. The Valkyrie needed to believe the threat was real. How do we prove something like that? Suho asked. Minji smiled, but it was a sad smile. We show them our history. She brought up images on the screen. Ancient cities burned to the ground. Fields salted so nothing would grow. Soldiers fighting to the last man. Nuclear mushroom clouds. Humans have been doing this for thousands of years, she said. We destroy ourselves rather than surrender. We burn our own cities. We poison our own land. We invented weapons that could end all life on Earth, and we pointed them at our own people. The images continued. Carthage in flames. Moscow burning before Napoleon arrived. Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The Cold War, where humanity lived for decades, one button press away from extinction. We are exactly what the Valkyrie fear, Minji said. A species that would rather die than kneel. We just need to remind them of that. Taiho made his decision. Start preparing the message. Show them everything. Our wars, our weapons, our willingness to burn it all down. And if they do not believe us? Suho asked. Taiho's face was hard as stone. Then we make them believe. Dr. Beek. Dahyun Beek, the scientist, stepped forward. Yes, Admiral? I want you to begin work on something. If we are going to threaten to destroy Earth, we need to be able to actually do it. I want a plan. Nuclear devices. Radioactive contamination. Whatever it takes to make this planet worthless to them. Dahyun's face went pale. Admiral, you are asking me to. I'm asking you to save humanity, Taiho interrupted. By proving we are willing to end it. Dahyun swallowed hard. Then he nodded. I will begin immediately. The team returned to their work with new purpose. They were no longer trying to find a way to fight. They were building a message. A warning. A promise of mutual destruction. Jiwon sat alone after the others left. She looked at the alien data on her screen. 7,000 species conquered and destroyed. Trillions of lives ended by the Valkyrie war machine. But 17 had escaped. 17 had found the courage to say, take us and you get nothing. Now humanity would be the 18th. She began writing the message that would save her world. Or destroy it. Jaewon Lee worked with a team of 50 people. Historians, scientists, military officers, translators. They worked in shifts, around the clock, never stopping. The deadline was always in their minds. 20 days. Now only 10 remained. The first part of the message was history. Minji Kang led this section. She gathered every example of human destruction she could find. Not just wars, but the way humans fought wars. The complete and total commitment to victory at any cost. She started with ancient times. The Greeks at Thermopylae, 300 men fighting against hundreds of thousands, knowing they would die. The siege of Masada, where Jewish rebels killed themselves rather than become Roman slaves. Carthage burned to the ground, its fields covered with salt so nothing would ever grow there again. We need to show them that this is who we are, Minji explained to the team. This is not new. Humans have been doing this for all of recorded history. The examples continued through the centuries. The Russian strategy against Napoleon, burning their own capital city rather than letting the French take it. Japanese soldiers in the Pacific fighting until the last man died. The Irish famine, where people starved rather than eat the grain being exported to England. They will not understand emotions, Ji-won warned. They will not understand honor or pride or anger. We need to present this as data. Cold facts. So they did. Every historical event was converted into numbers. How many people died? How much territory was destroyed? How much wealth was lost? The message showed, in clear mathematical terms, that humans destroyed themselves more efficiently than any enemy ever could. The second part of the message was weapons. Do Yoon-beek presented his research to Admiral Taiho on day 12. His face was pale and his hands were shaking. We have the capability, he said. Earth has 17,000 nuclear weapons spread across 40 countries. If we detonate them in a specific pattern, we can render the entire planet radioactive for 10,000 years. Taiho nodded slowly. Can we do it remotely? Even if we are all dead? Yes, we have designed a system of automated triggers. If the Valkyrie destroy our command centers, the weapons will detonate automatically. There will be no way to stop it. And the other planets? Mars? Europa? We have smaller outposts, but we can do the same. Contamination. Destruction. Everything the Valkyrie might want to harvest will be worthless. Taiho looked at the scientist for a long moment. Dohan, do you understand what you have created? Yes, Admiral. Dohan's voice cracked. I have created the end of everything. No, Taiho said. You have created our survival. The Valkyrie will see this, and they will know we are serious. They will know that attacking Earth means getting nothing. The weapons data was added to the message. Technical specifications. Radiation projections. Timeline of destruction. Everything was presented in the formal diplomatic format that Ji-won had decoded from the alien transmission. The third part of the message was philosophy. This was the hardest section. Suho Choi worked on it with a team of psychologists and sociologists. They needed to explain why humans were this way, why they would choose death over surrender. The Valkyrie think logically, Suho explained. They cannot understand why anyone would destroy themselves to deny profit to an enemy. We need to explain it in terms they can process. They studied human psychology, the need for freedom, the hatred of submission, the deep, ancient part of the human brain that would rather die fighting than live as a slave. Humans are not rational, Suho wrote in the message. We know this. We have studied ourselves for thousands of years, and we still do not fully understand why we do what we do. But one thing is certain, we cannot be controlled. Any attempt to control us will be met with total resistance. This is not a choice. It is what we are. The message included examples of human behavior that made no logical sense. Soldiers throwing themselves on grenades to save their friends. Parents dying to protect their children. People refusing to surrender, even when surrender was the only rational option. We are warning you, the message said. Not threatening. Warning. If you attack Earth, you will face resistance unlike anything you have seen before. Not because we can defeat you. We cannot. But because we will make your victory worthless. This is not a strategy. It is our nature. On day 15, the message was complete. Ji-won read through it one final time. It was long, detailed, and terrifying. It showed humanity at its worst and its best. The destruction, the sacrifice, the absolute refusal to give up. Do you think it will work? She asked Admiral Taiho. The old man sat in his chair, looking at the screen. He had aged 10 years in 2 weeks. His hair was gray. His face was lined with exhaustion, but his eyes were still sharp. I do not know, he admitted. But I know this. If we do nothing, we die. If we fight, we die. This is the only option that might let us live. He turned to look at her. Dr. Lee, you found this path. You discovered the 17 species. You gave us hope when there was none. Whatever happens next, I want you to know that. Ji-won felt tears in her eyes, but she blinked them away. Thank you, Admiral. The transmission was prepared. It would be sent using every communication device on Earth, broadcast in every direction. Impossible for the Velthory to miss. But before they sent it, Taiho called a meeting of all the world's leaders. They gathered via video link presidents and prime ministers and generals from every nation. They needed to agree. We are asking you to approve something terrible, Taiho told them. We are asking you to prepare the destruction of Earth. Real preparation. The weapons must be armed. The dead man switches must be activated. If the Velthory do not believe we are serious, the message will fail. The leaders argued for hours. Some wanted to surrender. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to run dot, but in the end, they agreed. What choice did they have? On day 16, the weapons were armed. 17,000 nuclear devices, connected to automated systems. If the Velthory attacked, Earth would die by its own hand rather than by alien weapons. On day 17, the message was sent. Ji-won watched from the control room as the transmission went out. It traveled at the speed of light toward Jupiter, where the alien fleet waited in silence. Now we wait, Suho said. Yuna Park stood nearby, her face tense. How long until they receive it? 43 minutes, Ji-won replied. And then? I do not know. They might respond immediately. They might take days. They might not respond at all. The room fell silent. Everyone stared at the screen, watching the signal travel across space. 43 minutes passed like 43 years. Then the signal arrived at the Velthory fleet. Ji-won held her breath. She imagined the alien commanders reading the message, seeing the history, seeing the weapons, seeing the cold mathematical proof that humanity would rather die than submit. What would they think? What would they do? The answer would determine the fate of 8 billion people. The answer would determine if humanity lived or died. And the answer was coming. The fleet stayed where it was, near Jupiter's moons. 12,000 ships hanging in the darkness of space. They did not move forward. They did not move back. They simply waited. On Earth, people could not bear the silence. The streets were empty. Schools were closed. Most people stayed in their homes, watching the news, waiting for something to happen. Some prayed. Some cried. Some sat in silence, holding their families close. In the Defense Command Center, the tension was unbearable. Private Yoonji Shin had not left her station in 72 hours. She watched the alien fleet on her screen, tracking every ship, looking for any sign of movement. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep. Her hands shook from too much coffee. Anything? Captain Yuna Park asked her every hour. Nothing, Yoonji would reply. They are just sitting there. Admiral Taiho walked through the command center, talking to his officers, keeping everyone calm. But inside, he was terrified. The waiting was worse than any battle he had ever fought. Had the message worked? Had it failed? Were the Velthory preparing to attack? Or were they running calculations, trying to decide if Earth was worth the cost? Nobody knew. On the fourth day, Yunji noticed something. "Admiral," she called out, "the ships are moving." Everyone rushed to her station. The main screen showed the Vulturi fleet in motion. Ships were changing position, moving closer together, forming new patterns. "Are they attacking?" Yuna asked, her voice tight with fear. Ji-Wan Lee studied the movements. No, I do not think so. Look at the formation. They are gathering, not advancing. They are conferring. Conferring? Taiho asked. Talking to each other. The ships are forming a communication network. They are discussing something. The fleet continued to rearrange itself for several hours. 12,000 ships moving in perfect coordination, creating a massive geometric pattern near Jupiter. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Then came the request. The communication system lit up with an incoming signal. It was not a broadcast like before. This was a direct link, targeted specifically at Earth's Defense Command. "They want to talk," Yunji said, her voice barely above a whisper. Taiho took a deep breath. "Accept the connection." The main screen flickered. Then an image appeared. The Vulturi commander was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Its body was crystalline, made of angles and sharp edges. It glowed with a soft blue light. It had no face, no eyes, no mouth. Just a complex structure of geometric shapes that somehow radiated intelligence. When it spoke, the voice came from everywhere at once. It was translated automatically into Korean, the language of the command center. "I am Primary Calculator Vorath. I speak for the Vulturi Dominion. You are Admiral Taiho Kim, commander of Earth's Defense Forces." It was not a question. Somehow, the alien knew exactly who he was. Taiho stood straight, his face calm. "I am. Why have you contacted us?" "We have analyzed your transmission," Vorath said. "We have questions. Ask them." The crystalline shape pulsed with light. "Your species has existed for less than 1 million rotations. In this time, you have engaged in war against yourselves approximately 15,000 times. You have developed weapons capable of ending all life on your world. You have not used them. Why?" Taiho had not expected this question. He thought for a moment before answering. "We came close many times," he said. "Very close. But always, at the last moment, we stepped back." "Why did you step back?" "Because we are not stupid. We know that destroying everything means destroying ourselves. Yet you claim you would destroy yourselves now to deny us your resources. This is a contradiction." Taiho shook his head. "No, it is different. When we fight ourselves, there is always hope that the winner will survive. That something will remain. But if you conquer us, there is no hope. We become nothing. Just another number in your database. Just more resources for your empire." He stepped closer to the screen, his eyes meeting the pulsing light of the alien commander. "We would rather be dead than be nothing." Vorath was silent for a long moment. The geometric shapes of its body shifted and changed, as if processing information. "Your history shows that you destroy yourselves even when victory is possible," Vorath said. "You burn your own cities. You poison your own land. You kill your own people rather than surrender. This behavior is inefficient." "Yes," Taiho agreed. "It is very inefficient. Then why do you do it?" Taiho smiled, but there was no happiness in it. "Because we cannot help ourselves. It is in our nature. We are not logical creatures, Vorath. We are driven by things you cannot calculate. Pride, honor, spite, the need to have the last word, even if that word is spoken from a grave." He paused, letting the alien process his words. You want to know if our threat is real, Taiho continued. You want to know if we will actually destroy Earth rather than let you take it. The answer is yes. Absolutely yes. Not because it makes sense, not because it is logical, but because we cannot be slaves. We cannot be resources. We cannot be a number in your database. Another long silence. Your species is young, Vorith said finally. You have existed for only a moment in cosmic time. Yet you have already developed the capacity for self-destruction. Most species take millions of rotations to reach this level of danger. We are fast learners, Taiho replied. You are fast at destroying. That is not the same as learning. Maybe, but it is what we are. Vorith's crystalline body shifted again. We have encountered species like yours before. 17 times. Each time we chose to retreat. The cost of conquest exceeded the value of resources. And now you are making the same calculation for us. Yes. Taiho felt hope rise in his chest, but he forced himself to stay calm. And what have you decided? Vorith did not answer immediately. Instead, it asked another question. If we retreat, what will you do? Taiho was surprised. What do you mean? Your species is dangerous. You develop weapons of destruction at an alarming rate. You fight constantly. You cannot even stop fighting yourselves. If we leave you alone, you will continue to grow. In 1,000 rotations, you might become a threat to us. Possibly, Taiho admitted. Then perhaps it is better to destroy you now while the cost is manageable. The room went cold. Everyone held their breath. Taiho thought carefully before responding. You could destroy us. You have the power. But you would lose ships. You would lose resources. You would spend time and energy on a planet that will give you nothing in return. And when it is over, you will have gained nothing. Just ashes. Just radiation. Just the satisfaction of killing a species that was not worth killing. He spread his hands. Is that really how you want to spend your resources? Morath considered this. You make a logical argument, it said. But there is still risk. Your species may become dangerous in the future. The future is unknown, Taiho replied. Maybe we will become dangerous. Maybe we will destroy ourselves before we ever reach the stars. Maybe we will change, become peaceful, learn to live without war. Do you believe that is possible? Taiho laughed softly. It was a sad sound. Honestly? No. I think we will always fight. I think it is too deep in us to ever stop. But I also think we will survive. We always do. And maybe, someday, we will learn to fight for something better than just winning. Morath was silent for a very long time. Then it spoke. I will bring your words to the primary calculation. A decision will be made. The screen went dark. The connection closed. Yunji looked up at the Admiral. What now? Taiho sat down heavily in his chair. He suddenly felt very old. Now we wait again. Yunji Shin was asleep at her station when the alarm woke her. She had finally collapsed from exhaustion, her head resting on her keyboard. The sound made her jump up, instantly alert. Movement, she announced to the room. The fleet is moving. Everyone rushed to the screens. Admiral Taiho, Captain Yuna, Dr. Jiwan Lee, Lieutenant Suho Choi, and dozens of others gathered around the main display. The Valkyrie ships were changing formation again. But this time, something was different. They were not just rearranging. They were leaving. Fold space ruptures opening, Yunji reported, her voice shaking. Multiple ruptures. They are going. Tears streamed down her face. She did not try to stop them. One by one, the massive ships disappeared. They folded space around themselves and vanished, leaving behind empty darkness. 100. 500. 1,000. The numbers dropped rapidly on the screen. 2,000 ships gone. 5,000. 8,000. They are retreating, Yuna whispered. They are actually retreating. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. They all watched as the greatest fleet in the galaxy turned around and left. 10,000 ships gone. 11,000. 11,500. Then the last message arrived. The screen lit up with the familiar blue glow of primary calculator Vorath. Its crystalline body appeared one final time. Species 7241, it announced. Classification has been updated. Previous designation: Harvest Priority. New designation: Profitable Avoidance. G1 stepped forward. What does that mean? It means your territory has been marked. No Velthary vessel will enter your system for 1,000 rotations. You are too expensive to conquer. The cost exceeds the value. You are not worth it. Taiho felt a strange mixture of relief and insult. They had won, but only because they were not valuable enough to destroy. 1,000 rotations, he said. 1,000 years. What happens after that? Unknown, Vorath replied. Perhaps you will have destroyed yourselves by then. Perhaps you will have become worthy of respect. Perhaps nothing will change. The future is not calculable. The alien paused. I have a personal message for you, Admiral Taiho Kim. It is not part of the official communication. Taiho raised an eyebrow. Go ahead. In my existence, I have overseen the conquest of 412 species. I have calculated the destruction of countless worlds. I have never hesitated. Logic is clear. Profit is everything. Profit is everything. Vorath's crystalline form pulsed with light. But your species is different. You are not logical. You are not efficient. You are a contradiction wrapped in chaos. And yet there is something in you that I do not understand. Something that makes you willing to destroy everything rather than submit. Is that a compliment? Taiho asked. It is an observation. And a warning. Use these 1,000 rotations wisely, humans. Grow. Change. Become something more than what you are. Because if we meet again and you are still the same chaotic, self-destructive creatures you are today, Vorath paused. Then, perhaps you deserve to survive. Perhaps chaos is its own form of strength. I do not know. I can only calculate. And my calculations tell me that you are too dangerous to conquer. Not because you are strong, but because you are willing to be weak in ways that make our strength meaningless. The screen flickered. Goodbye. Species 7241. Try not to destroy yourselves before we meet again. The connection closed. The last Velthary ship folded into space and disappeared. Earth was alone again. The celebration began slowly. People were too shocked to react at first. But as the news spread around the world, as people understood what had happened, the joy began to rise. In Seoul, crowds filled the streets. In New York, fireworks exploded. In Lagos, in Moscow, in Tokyo, in every city on Earth, people came together to celebrate survival. But in the Defense Command Center, the mood was different. Taiho sat in his chair, staring at the empty screen. Yuna stood beside him, her face thoughtful. We won, she said quietly. Did we? Taiho replied. She looked at him. What do you mean? The Velthary are gone. Earth is safe. For 1,000 years. Then what? Ji-Yuan joined them, her eyes tired but alert. Admiral, we have time now. 1,000 years to prepare. To grow stronger. To spread across the galaxy. Or to destroy ourselves, Taiho said. The Velthary were right about us, you know? We are chaotic. We are self-destructive. We fight wars for no reason. We create weapons that can end all life and we point them at ourselves. He stood up slowly, his old bones creaking. We did not win because we were better than them. We won because we were worse. Because we were willing to do something so terrible, so irrational, that even they could not understand it. Suho stepped forward. Sir, with respect, we survived. That is what matters, is it? Taiho turned to face them all. We survived by threatening to kill ourselves. By proving that we are so broken, so damaged, that no one should bother conquering us. Is that really victory? The room was silent. Then G1 spoke. Maybe it is not victory, she said. Maybe it is just survival. And maybe survival is enough for now. She walked to the window and looked out at the sky. The sun was rising over Seoul. A new day was beginning. The Valkyrie gave us a warning, she continued. They told us to grow, to change, to become something more. That is our real challenge now. Not fighting aliens, not building weapons, but becoming the kind of species that does not need to threaten self-destruction to survive. Taiho nodded slowly. That is a good challenge. It might be the hardest thing we ever do, Suho said. Probably, Ji-won agreed. But we have 1,000 years to try. 1 year later, Admiral Taiho Kim retired. He had served Earth for 50 years, and he was tired. He wanted to spend his remaining time with his family, watching his grandchildren grow up in a world that still existed. His final address was broadcast to the entire planet. We faced extinction, he told humanity. We looked death in the face, and we refused to blink. We showed the most powerful civilization in the galaxy what we are, a species that will burn its own house down rather than let someone else take it. He paused. His old eyes filled with emotion. I do not know if that makes us brave or broken. Maybe both. But we are still here. And now the galaxy knows Earth is not worth the cost. After his speech, Dr. Ji-won Lee was appointed head of the newly formed Xenodiplomatic Institute. Her mission was to study alien civilizations and prepare humanity for whatever came next. Her first directive was simple. Find the other 17 species that had turned the Valkyrie away. If we are going to survive out here, she told her team, we need to find others like us. The stubborn ones. The crazy ones. The ones who would rather die than kneel. She smiled grimly. I have a feeling we will get along. The search began immediately. Somewhere out there, 17 species had faced the same choice humanity faced. They had looked at destruction and refused to surrender. They had scared the conquerors away with nothing but their own willingness to die. Now humanity would find them, learn from them, maybe even become allies, because the universe was vast and dangerous. The Valkyrie were not the only threat. There would be others. There would always be others. But humanity was ready. They had looked into the darkness, and this darkness had blinked first. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Not as victims, not as resources, but as the stubborn, chaotic, self-destructive species they had always been. And somehow, that was enough. On the Earth Defense Memorial, built in the center of Seoul, a single inscription was carved into the stone. They calculated conquest. We calculated spite. Turns out, spite is the superior math. The memorial stood for centuries. A reminder of the day humanity won by refusing to lose. A reminder that sometimes the greatest strength is the willingness to destroy everything rather than surrender. A reminder that Earth was not worth the cost and never would be.